Hello dears, today we will discuss about aloe vera benefits and its priceless gel for massage therapy in Thai massage services video. Don't forget to subscribe our channel please. There are approximately 350 species of aloe. They vary in color from gray to bright green and are sometimes striped or mottled. In addition, the leaves are often long and pointed and have spiny sides. Aloe flowers are tubular in appearance and vary in color from yellow, orange or red. The flowers are usually densely clustered, simple or branched leafless stems. The most famous of aloes is the aloe vera. It is revered for its medicinal herbal properties. The most popular herbal property in aloe vera is its use in skin care. Aloe vera has both antiseptic and antibiotic properties, which makes it highly effective in treating skin irritations such as cuts, burns, eczema, and sunburns, and will also relieve the itch from poison oak, poison ivy and poison sumac. Additionally, aloe vera is widely used in the cosmetic industry as moisturizing ingredient, improve elasticity in the skin, and reduce the sign of aging, just to name a few. Although the plant is 95% water, the remaining 5% contains active ingredients such as amino acids, provides 20 of the 22 human required amino acids and 7 of the 8 essential ones, minerals, calcium, chromium, copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, potassium, sodium, zinc, vitamins A, C, E, B, B12, folic acid, and enzymes. The vitamins A, C, E contains antioxidants, which are why they are so widely used in skin care. Short tips of the benefits of aloe vera: speeds healing and minimizes scarring of wounds, soothes sunburns, insect bites. Poison ivy has antioxidant to promote new cell growth in skin and improves elasticity, fights anti-aging with its moisturizing properties, reduces pain in wounds with its anti-inflammatory properties. Very few people are allergic to aloe vera, which is why it is used so heavily in the cosmetic industry. However, as with any new product, a patch test is recommended. To do a patch test, break off a small portion of the plant and apply a small amount to the inside of wrist. Wait 1 day to see if there is any indication of an allergic reaction. Aloe vera is an easy plant to care for. Aloe vera plants are easy to care for. They require plenty of sunshine, light watering and live long. All around they are a hardy plant and easy to care for. In many households, they are often grown on windowsills so that the wondrous properties of the plant are always available. Growing your own aloe vera is recommended. Store-bought gels, although effective, will never compare to the effectiveness of a freshly cut leaf. This is due in fact to the time that has elapsed from harvest to the final product and display.
Clinical massage therapists operate according to certain assumptions that are so self-evident that they might be considered axioms of the field. The individual is a whole organism, everything is connected and related. Complex systems are more than the mere sum of their parts, that is, it is essential to see the forest and the trees. Although this book is necessarily reductionist to some degree, we cannot understand the whole without knowledge of the parts, and they must be examined in a linear way. The therapist should remember that the part must also be seen in the context of the whole. For example, a client with a sprained ankle will favor the injured leg, causing muscles in the hip and low back to tighten. The resulting imbalance in the back can affect the neck muscles, causing a headache. Treating the neck muscles alone will not solve the problem. Shortened muscle tissue can do no work. Muscle tissue does its work by contracting and, therefore, can do no further work if shortened. What we are concerned with as therapists is persistently or pathologically shortened tissue, in other words, tissue that is shortened, in all likelihood for defensive reasons, is unable to work, and resists lengthening. A muscle may be shortened actively or passively. Examples of chronic passive shortening are the shortening of biceps brachii when the arm is kept in a sling for a period of healing, and the flexed position of the iliopsoas muscles, hip flexors, in a baby who is not yet standing and walking. Postural misalignment always involves habitual passive shortening of many postural muscles. Active shortening, on the other hand, is muscular contraction, and may be either the intentional contraction that is the work of the muscle, or defensive contraction representing the muscle's response to a threat such as overload, repetitive motion, or excessive stretch. When a portion of muscle tissue is contracted in this way, it cannot contract further and is unavailable to do the work of the muscle. The soft tissues of the body respond to touch. One of the most persuasive theories of the many that seek to explain this is that myofascial pain is caused by a self-perpetuating neuromuscular feedback circuit in which the stimulation of touch interferes, thus restoring normal function. Depending on the choice of technique, manual intervention in the dysfunctional tissues interrupts this feedback process, forcing some change in the neural response and, therefore, in the functioning of the affected tissue itself. The intervention may take the form of ischemic compression, passive stretching, passive shortening, or any simultaneous or sequential combination of these. Clinical massage therapy, and therefore this book, is based firmly on these three principles. The clinical massage therapist is one who approaches persistently shortened soft tissues and attempts to restore their natural, pain-free function through touch, while keeping the whole client in mind. Structure and function of muscles. Although we treat muscles as distinct entities for anatomical convenience, we must remember that the neuromuscular system does not activate muscles in that way. The nervous system stimulates portions of contractile tissue to contract in patterns that will produce the desired effect, and this activation usually involves parts of several muscles acting in fine coordination. No action recruits all of a muscle, and no action recruits only one muscle. When we say, for example, that biceps brachii flexes the arm at the elbow, we are making a broad generalization. Depending on the position of the arm when we make the movement, certain portions of biceps brachii will be activated. In addition, portions of brachialis will also contract, as well as portions of certain muscles in the forearm. Portions of triceps brachii will be recruited to temper the movement and keep it smooth. As the movement occurs, a shift in weight occurs, and parts of muscles throughout the torso and legs respond to maintain balance. Therefore, it is not so much individual muscles that do the work of the body as it is patterns of portions of muscle tissue. To gain an understanding of these broad patterns of muscular action over the whole body, we must first acquaint ourselves with the elemental parts of muscle tissue and how they work. The muscle cell. The contractile filaments that perform the work of the muscle are called myofilaments. Two basic types of myofilaments perform the work of the muscle. One type is the thick myosin filament, the other is the thin actin filament. The myosin filament has medullary head that extend to attractor sites on the adjacent actin filament and bend to bring about contraction. These myosin and actin filaments lie parallel to each other in an overlapping pattern that produces the characteristic striped, striated appearance of skeletal muscle. Several of these myofilaments together form a sarcomere, which is considered of contraction in a muscle cell. A string of sarcomeres lined up in sequence form a myofibril, muscle thread. Surrounding and penetrating the myofibrils is a system of microscopic tubes called transverse tubules and the sarcoplasmic reticulum. These tubules carry the chemical trigger, calcium, necessary to initiate contraction at the molecular level. A muscle cell is composed of several myofibrils. Muscle structure. The expression E muscle cell is equivalent to the expression E muscle fiber. The number of muscle cells in the body is believed to remain constant. When we strengthen muscles or increase their size and bulk, it is the contractile content, not the number, of the cells or fibers that is changed. Unlike most cells, muscle cells contain many nuclei scattered along the length of the cell. Multiple nuclei are necessary because muscle cells can be quite long, and their internal needs, which must be assessed and met by the nuclei, vary from one part of the cell to the next. Muscle cells are second only to nerve cells in length and can be over 11 inches long in some muscles. The cross-bridge theory. The most commonly accepted theory of muscle function is the cross-bridge theory. It attempts to explain the contractile action of muscle tissue, that is, how muscle tissue shortens when stimulated by a motor neuron. When a nerve impulse excites the neuromuscular junction, calcium is released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum into the fluid surrounding the myofilaments. This causes a molecular response in which attractor sites on the actin filaments are exposed. attracting E-heads from the myosin filaments, which cross the gap between the filaments, attach themselves to their sites on the acting filaments, and bend, propelling the acting filaments into a more deeply overlapped and interlocked position in relation to the myosin filaments. This shortens the sarcomere and, as all the sarcomeres in many muscle cells shorten, muscle contraction occurs. Muscle tissue is capable of shortening by about 40% of its length. When nerve stimulation ceases, the calcium is actively transported back into the transverse tubules, the myosin heads release and contraction stops. The muscle, however, cannot lengthen on its own. The contractile units, sarcomeres, must be stretched back to their starting position by an outside force, such as the pull of gravity or an opposing muscle, before it can again shorten in contraction. When you have a headache, you subconsciously rub your temples with your fingers to reduce the pain.
If you are visiting Manchester and in need of relaxation, there is no better place to go. All this and competitive prices mean that TMS traditional Thai massage just has to be your first choice in Manchester. For more useful tips, please subscribe our Thai massage services channel on YouTube.